Mintz Levin, one thing that I learned about the firm is that in the 1930s, there were two men who had graduated from law school in Boston, and they were trying to find a job. Just like so many of us, when you graduate from law school, we want a job. And they hit the streets, and what happened is that they couldn't find a job because they were discriminating against them. And so after a while, they realized that what they had to do was start their own law firm. And they did. As a history and a culture that has never forgotten about that beginning. We work really hard to be inclusive, to remember to not discriminate, instead to champion diversity and to help everyone at Mintz Levin to achieve their dreams.
And the purpose of today's event is to highlight those contributions of those unsung women, as well as to honor women generally, and specifically women leaders in law. We thought that there was no better way to do so than to invite these three women to have a conversation with us about leadership.
I think one of the most important things of a leader is the ability to inspire. I think that one of the key things of a good leader is leading by example. So, I'm really fortunate every year to work with incredibly talented, newish or new lawyers, my law clerks. And I feel that, I know they're going to work very hard. I feel like I have to set the example. And I don't think you can underestimate the importance of leading by example.
Leadership requires leading from in front, inspiring, being ahead, saying this is what we're going to do, having a purpose, a goal, a vision, and laying it out there for others to engage with and follow. Part of what I want to do is grow the people I'm working with and create their sense of ownership and possibility and autonomy, and so set the stage for their ability to create change.
As an in-house attorney, you have to kind of downplay the whole attorney thing because my philosophy is I don't say no or yes, I don't approve, I assess risk. And then that way you pull people in, not only people you're leading, but also people in the business. You draw them into you, so it's teamwork, we're all working together. Because otherwise, you can't prep someone adequately for a deposition if they don't trust you. Or, if you don't speak the language of the business, they don't trust you. But it's just inspiring people and inspiring people to work together.
And Jean Lucan, do you have anything to add to that, or perhaps an example of some time in your career where you have seen a leader that was very effective and what that person did, or what you did when you were a very effective leader to motivate people, or in your words, to set the stage?
The importance of authenticity, of having high expectations, but also admitting when you're wrong. And I feel like I do have high expectations for the people who work with me and work for me, but that does not mean I expect them to be perfect. And to create an environment where people feel able to say either this is too much, I can't get to all of this, or you know what, I dropped that ball, and now here's how I'm going to fix it, or here's my thought about how to fix it, and to be willing to do the same myself. No leader should be above saying I'm sorry or I screwed up, and I've worked for people who are wonderful at that, and I've worked for people who think that there's some kind of loss of authority or loss of dignity to acknowledge their own errors. And I hope I can be a leader that combines high expectations with a willingness to forgive other people's mistakes and acknowledge.
You're all leaders in these different fields, and it sounds like you are also leading different people. Like, for example, Kim, we were just talking about the business people. You're leading the business people, but then you're also leading people on your legal team, or the marketing people are different from the people in the C-suite. Do you use different leadership styles?
Yes, I definitely use different styles because There's some people you have to let talk and talk and talk. And then you're like, okay, we're good, because it's like there's not enough time for them to say what's on their mind, but if you don't let them be heard, you're done. The entire project can fall apart. And then there are other people who are just very fast, very quick. When I write notes or emails to different people at a different level with my boss, my executives, our CEO, messaging is really important, and messaging in very concise. Most executives don't want to read more than 3 lines. And if you can't make your point for a very complicated issue in 3 concise sentences, you've lost your audience.
Judge Phillips, do you have different constituencies that you feel like you address?
I do.
Yeah.
I think, well, there's my chamber staff, which is my law clerks, my secretary, my courtroom clerk, my court reporter, a few others that I work with very intimately every day. And then I think of myself, although the clerk of the court is the staff, I think I have a responsibility to everyone who works at the court to set a direction, set the priority of public service, that we are there to serve the public. We have such a responsibility to make the court open, accessible, and if not a friendly place, at least not an intolerant or harsh or unwelcoming.
For the women in the audience that are here and interested in becoming or taking more prominent roles as leaders, what advice would you give them? And perhaps you could take it from your perspectives.
Learn business. Be involved in numbers. Speak the language of the business. Because otherwise, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be disregarded or marginalized. And then that's where the company's at risk.
Gotta work hard and try to do excellent work, but also get involved in things outside the law, in community organizations, in bar association events, both in order to sort of give back, because as a lawyer, I got involved with lots of things in my community that weren't law related, which I really enjoyed because I was around lawyers all day, and now you see other parts of the community, teachers and social workers and whatever your interest is.
An institutional culture and how that either helps or sometimes impedes women from thriving in leadership positions. Could you give us your thoughts?
It's true. So I believe that institutional culture makes a big difference. And I'm actually really, I'll be a little UCLA plug here. I'm really proud of the culture we have, because I think that we have an internal culture that permits all of our students, our staff, and our faculty to succeed without, I don't think that race, ethnicity, gender, etc. are as much of a structural obstacle within our institutional culture as they are within some.
You have to change the culture for people to value listening.
And that's exactly right. And nobody was intending to be sexist or exclusionary, and one could also say, look, if that's the culture, the women should have walked in with their question and just done what was expected. But it did not. It in no way downgraded the quality of the intellectual conversation to pause before we took the cue.
I wanted to describe a little bit of what I see happen a lot in the courtroom. We, meaning everybody in this room, I think a lot of people have this tendency. I see it a little more in females, but I've certainly seen it in men, especially young men practicing. Whether you're a leader or you're starting out in your career, you're going to do some things because you think they are the right thing to do. You've thought about it carefully, you've listened, and they're not everybody's going to agree with you.
In 2011, the White House released a report on the status of American women, and it talked about how far American women have come in the past 50 years, so 50 years prior to 2011. And now we're in 2017, it's hard to believe how quickly time flies. So that report talked about that there have been gains in education and then the labor force, and that women earned about 75% of what their male counterparts earned, which is at that time, which is 100% advancement, and I don't think we're quite at 100%. But anyway, just based on that, wanted to get your thoughts on what you think are the challenges for the next generation of women, and what we can, as women and men, do to address those challenges.
I think currently the administration is a problem for women, and if you're not a white male in America right now, I'm just gonna say it, there's an undercurrent that is a problem for this country. And I think that we need to be more open, we need to support each other more, and not tolerate it.
I think one of the obstacles for members of our profession, particularly women, is what is now called, this phrase wasn't in existence when I started practicing, work-life balance. Because, you know, the pressure on men and women who want to have a life outside the law, raise children and so forth, that calls for a lot of flexibility on the part of employers. And yet, and I still see this, it really troubled me when I was a young lawyer. And every time I went to any learning thing, and, you know, there might be a separate session, a breakout session for women about, you know, how to balance your, you know, how to have kids and still be in a law firm. And I used to say, how come this should be open to everybody? Because as long as women think it's a female problem,
Right.
then it will remain a female problem. And it's not a female problem. It's an issue for everyone, men, women, same-sex couples, everyone who wants to have a fulfilling life and yet, you know, excel in their profession. Maternity leave was a big advance, so maternity leave was unthought of. So I have seen a lot of progress, but I think we all need to work together on solving flexibility and so forth in the workplace.
And one of the things I still think, I think that we still see is that women are able to succeed, but the band that they're permitted to inhabit, I think is still narrower than that which we permit men.
To kind of lay the foundation for the next generation of women leaders, what are some of the skills that you think would be appropriate for girls to learn, let's say pre-high school, that will then lay the foundation for themselves to move up and become leaders after college, after law school?
One of the things that we've worked hard to help her learn to do, and she's a relative introvert, and I'm so not an introvert, so this is something that she hasn't found, that does not come easily to her, is to put herself out there for something that she wants or cares about, or to go talk to the teacher, not to grade grub about, you know, whatever the thing was, but to sort of say, you know, this is what I'm interested in, can you help me understand what I didn't do right and how I can do better next time? And I mean, in a lot of ways, she's very lucky because she has parents who can help model this for her. So there have been times when, you know, she's had an email to write to somebody, and, you know, sometimes we'll ask her to come up with the language for it, and sometimes we'll help her find the language so that she can learn how to do it next time. When I hear teenage girls apologizing for their existence or their interest or their ambitions, it drives me nuts, right? I sort of feel, I don't blame them, but I feel unease at a culture that leads them to feel the need to do that. So I don't have any magic bullet answers, but that these are skills that can be taught and learned and improved upon, rather than innate qualities that are either an on or off switch.